If you fixed your resume and you're still getting rejected, I know exactly what you're doing wrong. You're applying for jobs like it's a numbers game, not realizing you're costing yourself opportunities. Let's fix that right now. Welcome back. I'm Ariana, aka the Career Queen, and I help people fix their career strategically and stop playing around. And if you missed it, this is episode 2 of my Fix Your Career in 15-minute series. In the last video, we talked about resumes, and oh, was it a good one? We talked about how to change up your bullet points, demonstrate your value and impact, and honestly speak to the job description and the company and not yourself. So if you missed it, make sure you go back and check it out. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the biggest mistake that I see when people are applying for jobs. Most times people just sit behind their phones and computers and they just mass apply. They apply. And then all of a sudden they feel this sudden burnout, this shift in their energy where they feel useless, defeated, disappointed, discouraged. I get it. But guess what? You're not doing yourself any favors when you are constantly sitting there just mass applying to jobs. You have to be strategic. And every single job does not deserve the exact same resume. In fact, you should not feel comfortable providing the same resume to every single job. Every job is unique. Every company is unique. That means your resume should be unique. So one thing you have to stop doing is applying code. What that means is stop sitting behind your computer, simply applying. The company doesn't know that you exist, right? So ask yourself, the next time you apply for a job, do they even know who I am? And I know the whole point of applying to the job is so that they could know who you are, but 1,000 other people are doing the exact same thing. So what actually sets you apart from someone else? Exactly. So here's what I want you to do instead. Go to LinkedIn, find someone that works at the company, preferably a recruiter or someone who works in HR, maybe not a director or someone at a high level, right? We want to look for someone who is on the ground, talking to candidates, doing all of the day in, day out work. What you will want to do is draft a quick short message that I'll pop up right here. So that way you can reach out to them. Make sure that you are being personable. Make sure it's very brief and short because we don't want to take up too much of their time. But you will want to send them this message just to introduce yourself and allow you to kind of open up that door to connect with them, to discuss the position or whatever your intentions are. But ensure that you've also applied for the job. So in the event they decide to look at your your message, but they don't actually reply, but they go look for your application, it'll at least be there. What this does is it opens the door to show them how interested you actually are in the job, right? Because if 1,000 people apply for the job, they all are sitting in the ATS system, but only a few select people are going to actually do this step. And that sets you apart from someone else. If a recruiter is hiring for multiple positions, they're going to choose an easier route so long as you're qualified, right? So this doesn't mean that if you have no experience at all whatsoever in the field that you're applying for, and you message them that they're going to entertain you, you do still have to be a match for the job. But let's say everything is all good, the stars are aligned, then this could actually work in your favor a lot more than you realize. Okay, so the next thing is that you're ignoring keywords. If you are applying for a job, more than likely you are going through what we call an ATS system. If you don't know what an ATS system, you need to go figure it out, because if you're this far into the video or into your career and you don't know what that is, we have a bigger problem, right? So stop this video, go to Google, return back. Anyway, if you are applying for a job, you're applying through an ATS system. And what this means is that these are systems that companies are going to leverage to find the best candidate, the best qualified. They could either front load this system with keywords that they want to actually see on resumes, or they can go and do it on the back end after they receive applications. I've been a recruiter. I know exactly what this looks like. I used to do it. When I recruited for a data scientist role back in the day, I received hundreds and hundreds of applications, and people were messaging me on LinkedIn and emails and all this stuff. And honestly, it does get overwhelming. And so what I had to do was use the ATS system to search for keywords because I could not look through 100 resumes. So what I ended up doing was I looked at the job description to understand exactly what this hiring manager wanted, right? What were the skill sets, the years of experience, the education, all of these things. And all of those things went right into the ATS system. And what that system did within a blink of an eye was gave me a short list of people who actually met that criteria with a ranking, right? Because if I put in 5 things, maybe all of them didn't have 5. Maybe some had 3, 4, too, right? So what it did was it gave me those who of course had the most, and it just kind of went in order. That was one of the most helpful things I could have ever experienced in my career as a recruiter. And let's just say I don't do that anymore, right? I am a career services director now through and through. I love helping people with their careers and not being the person who chooses their career, whatever, right? So anyway, that's what I ended up doing. So I know that they use these things and it works, right? But you have to make sure that you are being very intentional about the keywords. One way that you can figure out what keywords are necessary would be, one, figuring out what the industry is. If you're applying for an industry you've never worked in, you might need to do more research than you realize. However, if it's a perfect match, then obviously you will naturally know a lot of the keywords. But the next thing you're going to want to do is pay attention to the job description. Why? Because oftentimes they repeat things in the job description that they really desire candidates to have. This could be in the about the company section, the job summary and responsibilities, and even in the qualifications. If you start to see a common theme with something, that should tell you that it's really important to them. So if there's a company out there that cares a lot about values and they mention it quite often, then you might want to change your resume summary to kind of speak to some of your values, especially if you align with theirs. But that's a small example. Really, truly think about what keywords are missing from your resume that has been mentioned on the job description or that might be applicable to your industry. The last thing we're going to talk about is the follow-up, right? So you're applying without a follow-up. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, you don't have to follow up. You don't have to send an email after you apply. You don't have to do anything unless you want a job, right? So for those of you who you're here and you are listening and you're ready to take action, please follow up. Now, if the job description says, do not contact us, we'll contact you, then let's respect that, right? And I say that because I would hate for you to hurt your chances by simply reaching out just to follow up and they go, you know what? We said not to reach out. We don't want them, right? Now, I'll be honest. Most companies shouldn't do that. A lot of them will put that there because they either just don't have the personnel and there's probably someone else who is not in HR doing all the hiring. And that I guess I can respect. But for the sake of just ensuring that you don't miss any opportunities, if that is written in the job description, then go ahead and respect that. Now, for those of the job descriptions that do not have that, it's free range. Go ahead and follow up. If you found someone who works there on LinkedIn that works directly in HR, you can send them a message. You can probably even find their emails on the company's page. So you do have to do a little bit of research. But I think this is why it's important not to just sit and apply to jobs 50 at a time, because if you cannot actually nurture that job and actually reach out and follow up with them, then it's kind of no point to even apply because it sounds like you don't really want that job. And how I know that is if you really wanted the job, you would actually do the work, right? If there was a position that you came across and you actually really liked it, then yes, you'd read that job description. You'd alter your resume. You'd find someone on LinkedIn. You'd reach out. You'd apply. You'd follow up. You'd do all the things because you really want that job. So please don't pretend like, oh, that's too much. Yeah, it is when you do it for 50 jobs, but it's really not when you do it for maybe 10 or less, right? Because you're being strategic. So please remember this. So let's recap. So we talked about not applying to jobs like it's a numbers game, right? Be very strategic, be very picky with the jobs that you're applying for. We talked about aligning the job description or aligning your resume to the job description using keywords. We talked about reaching out, right? We talked about actually researching people who work at the company, maybe a recruiter, maybe someone who works in HR. We talked about just sending them a message that I popped up on the screen. So if you missed it, go back. But we're talking about actually being strategic, being intentional, right? And then lastly, we talked about following up. So one thing a lot of people fail at is just following up or follow through, right? So after you apply, after you do all the things and you're waiting to hear back, it's okay to follow up with them. Send them a nice message, thanking them for taking the time to review your application materials in advance, whether they did it or not. But just following up kind of forcing them to give you an update, right? Maybe they're like, okay, we'll start, reviewing applicants next week, or whatever the case may be. Anything is good to hear, right? Nothing is not. So definitely follow up. But I hope you guys really are taking this seriously and that you found this helpful, because these are some of the most simplest things that a lot of us get wrong every single time. And coming from a career services director, I see this day in and day out. I meet with students, I meet with clients, I meet with everyone who's looking for a job. And this is one of the most common mistakes that I always see. So with that being said, I do hope that this has been helpful. If you missed the last video, make sure you go back and watch it. We talked about resumes and how to position yourself to demonstrate your impact. And this video should help you when it comes to actually searching and applying for your job, so that way you're not all over the place, right? So make sure you subscribe if you haven't done that already. Like this video if it helped you, and hype it. If this was something that you felt like you needed to hear, go ahead and hype it, because chances are there's someone else out there that needs to hear this too. Make sure you comment below if you have any questions, and I'll definitely catch you guys on the next one.